Alright, so I'm just going to hang out here for a while. See if anybody shows up and they want a mini reading. So what should I do? How should I share what I'd like to share without getting into trouble? Let me think about this. I guess if I was running a really cool professional studio and I had all the marketing tools and I loved doing marketing and distribution and promotions and things like that, and if I was any good at it, I would have prepped up this little show for tonight, and all the regulars would have had their email blast, and I would have done perhaps like a, you know, like a little YouTube short video to tell people, hey, you know. It's probably been a month since I've been here, several weeks I would imagine. Anyway, let me just check in, show you that I'm a real person. Maria, hello. Wow. Yes, it's been a while. How are you, Maria? What are we doing on now? Almost, it's basically 8 years now. 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 8 years. 8 years, Maria. Can you believe it? Let's just see if anyone else shows up tonight. I've had a few people get in touch with me and say, hey, please, will you do some Sunday Night Live tarot readings? And of course, some of you know that I have mostly migrated over to Rumble because I feel much safer there and I'm not attacked all the time by people who don't like my content. And I'm no longer attacked by YouTube with demonetization, strikes, warnings, all of that horrible, horrible stuff. And just, it's all, I don't know. Anyway. No. You're a vibrant young thing. Very lively. How's Arkansas lately? We might get a necessary truth. Who knows? We might get a love driver. We might get a Gregory. We might get a precious moments. Sometimes Jeffrey Longoria shows up. We'll see. Do you remember the campfire days? Do you remember long, long, long ago? I would guess 2017, 2018. That's before the actual YouTube channel here was destroyed. The channel was destroyed at the very end of 2018. So I had 2 good years. I earned my living off that, and I had a couple of trips to New Zealand, and I was living by the beach in my lovely little apartment. You've just been enjoying life since January 20th. Hint, hint. So obviously you're not going to use the DJT name itself. I'm going to try and avoid that. But Maria, I don't know if you've ever caught any of my content over there. Hello, Love Triber. You remember the good times? Yeah. It took me a couple of years to start doing the live streams. And I think I was just very camera shy at the time. Now, today, I much prefer doing the live streams because it just feels a lot more natural to me. As some of you know, I'm kind of an artist and a writer and a musician by design, but I've had to, you know, navigate in and out of that through most of my life. But I spent a lot of time on stages and performing music when I was younger. Thousands of shows and performances and, you know, events and things when I was doing pop music and rock music and acoustic music and Americana music and doing little tours around different areas and stuff like that. And so I kept thinking, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to stick to the live streams. And that's when all the crazy stuff started to happen. Oh, God. Attack, 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 attack. Before that, when we had the two good years, and I pumped out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, probably like 40 videos every month, like 3 videos for each sign, and then maybe 3 or 4 live shows eventually. But yeah, it was, anyway, I burned myself out. And then not only that, YouTube put the choke on me and put the turned off the algorithm and made it a hostile algorithm. We've been dealing with it ever since, and some of you know I've just been bitter and ranting for years, but it's basically kind of over now. I think I've grown past it, and I'm making myself comfortable and at home on Rumble. And I don't really have a master plan. I just know that I like to share my content, and I feel much happier sharing my global astrology rather than doing all the, traditional astrology tarot reports, because frankly, YouTube is saturated now. When I started, there was only a couple of hundred, maybe 100 people like me. Now there's tens of thousands of astrology and tarot people all over YouTube, and I thought, I just can't work in these conditions. I like my little boutique-y, tiny little community that we have, our little campfire community. I was much happier in that environment. And I don't know if it's really like that for anybody who watches the Rumble stuff today, but that's how I feel on Rumble. I feel a lot more, I feel a lot safer. Yeah, all of those things. One of the things I have to admit, thank you, Maria, for reminding me, one of the things I really loved doing was story times. Because I always seem to have all sorts of wacko stories that come up out of like random memories, and then I think, oh, I better capture that and put that on a video. The thing is, I forgot about doing it because those videos are all pre-recorded. And it's very rare that I pre-record anything these days, but maybe we should start again. If anybody, we'll see about it. Yes. Oh, and the music videos too. Yes. That's been a long time. Anyway, I've got some fancy water tonight. No caffeine, no soda, no coffee, nothing. Just fancy water. I snitched it randomly out of the fridge. Looks pretty good. Very refreshing. Okay, so here we are. Yes. Also, I used to have quite a different way of doing the channel back in the glory days, because pretty much everything was pre-recorded. We had separate backgrounds, separate settings for each type of video and for each sign. So whenever you clicked on a video, you could see, even though it was very artisanal, homemade, boutique-y looking, there wasn't any artificial intelligence or heavy graphics or anything. Everything was handmade. Everything was handmade, and you could tell, like, oh, this is for Sagittarius in November for your heart-spirit journey. Oh, here, this is Virgo for your relationships. And each one would have its own perfectly recorded and packaged little video, and I didn't bother too much. I used to do thumbnails and everything, and I thought this is so... to be honest, there's part of me which is very lazy. I cannot stand doing all the prep work and all the follow-up processing and all the thumbnails. I can't stand doing that stuff, so I don't. I don't like to. We also used to do Patreon memberships, and like build the community and get your special, unique, private events. And then we would host our private events, and we would have our weird, super advanced, weird yoga healing sessions and things like that. Yeah, it was long ago. The car story. I have all sorts of car stories. Yeah, I mean, I've had other bee stories, bumblebee stories, more car crash stories, more magical healthcare, surviving death stories, all of those. Yeah, I kind of miss it too, but, you know, life moves on. I'll be sticking to the global astrology for now. Maybe we could do a hybrid. Maybe we'll just do everything on Rumble and do a Sunday night thing on Rumble. Tarot readings on Rumble. I don't know, but people don't seem to show up. I can't tell. There's hardly anybody that ever visits. So I don't really think it's kind of pointless doing tarot readings on the Rumble. But after the videos are recorded and posted, a couple of days later, they usually show anything from 30 to 50 to 100 views. So I don't really know what's going on. Maybe we'll do a hybrid. I don't like jumping back and forth between Rumble and YouTube. I simply don't like it. There is a way that I could run the Rumble show and simultaneously post it onto YouTube. But it's pointless, because everything I do on Rumble is going to get me shut down on YouTube. So there's no point. Victor! Oh my gosh. Victor. You know what? We could mention a few money things while we're here. You're probably very aware of what's going on. It's absolutely psycho right now in the world of global finance. This channel is found when needed by the viewers. Oh, yeah. I know. Very, very spiritual stuff. The people who arrive here, we're supposed to find it. Okay. So actually, Maria, now you mention it, on the YouTube channel, TarotLumination on YouTube, it still has all those old stories. All the old stories are there. All the old music videos are still there. Hi, Victor. Yeah. Where's the gold? So let me just jump into a couple things here. So Victor, I don't know if you like Mark Moss, but I like him a lot because he's a very hardcore realist, and he's always pointing out things that are very suspicious, whether, depending on what kind of investor you are. I mean, I'm not an investor. I don't have anything to invest, but I'm very interested in the subject and the phenomenon. And Mark Moss is pretty good at being a myth buster. He takes people like Ray Dalio and shreds him. He takes people like Peter Schiff and shreds him, and so on and so on. And Mark focuses on like attainable wealth. And how do you do that? It's a skill when you're coming from nowhere. So anyway, Mark posted something online today about the gold. And he made a couple of good points because no one... Okay. Let me preface my notes for you, Victor, about the gold. Let's say all the gold is there in Fort Knox that they say is there. And let's say they do actually do an audit every year. Okay. And let's say they go into the vault and everything's there and you can just go home and go, yeah, everything's great. It's going to send shockwaves across the world. Scenario number 2, they go to the vault and they open the gate and there's nothing there. It's going to send shockwaves all over the world. If the gold is there, then we can be confident that, okay, well, this has some deep, profound meaning, but either way, it's going to send shockwaves. If it's not there, it's going to prove to the rest of the world that the global fiat monetary system is now officially over, and everything is going to implode simultaneously. Mark Moss was pointing out that it's a bit of an awkward situation whichever way you look at it. Personally, my view is this. Bear with me, okay? Let's imagine I'm Donald Trump, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm an expert, and I have access on my daily briefings, security briefings that come to my desk every morning with all the most important things that are happening in the world. I look at my file and my folder, and I'm going to go, okay, I did that. I can fix that, I fix that. I can't help these people. They're totally screwed. Sorry about that. Oh, that's very scary. And anyway, we all know about the Elon Musk and the Doge dive, and that Trump is pushing Elon to get more aggressive. Get in there, Elon. Pound on some doors. Kick down some of those doors. We want to know what's going on. Okay, so there's a couple things going on. Here's my two. I'm going to share both of my little tidbits here. I don't know if you noticed in some of his ramblings outside of the mainstream media, if you checked in with Donald at the CPAC conventions and the Republican conventions, he was mentioning things about, we're going to get into the vaults, we're going to find out if the gold is there. We all heard the stories. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. There's going to be a problem if it's not there. We better find out sooner or later. But if you noticed, he didn't put a timeline. But he made it very clear, and I think he's made it clear multiple times now with this way that he does, where he kind of drops a hint. Just a little, it just, comes out apparently randomly in some of his ranting on his meetings and his Oval Office and Truth Social. And enough of it has come out right now that the message has gone worldwide. Every central bank in the world, every major bank and banker that moves in and out through the Bank of International Settlements, through the SWIFT system, and holds any amount of reserve gold in its vaults for its country, is on high alert now, and they're all double checking to see if their gold is collateralized somewhere else to something else for trading purpose, to make a fast buck on fake paper gold. All right, so bear that in mind. Now, the same message will have different impacts on different countries, different banks. And if America is guilty of, let's say, loaning out all that gold to other countries to try and do sweetheart deals, and then Donald Trump is saying, it would be a shame if it wasn't there. I don't know if you've heard this, Victor, but there's enormous amounts of hard bullion gold bars flying out of the London LBMA vaults into New York, to the New York vaults below Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase. It's getting loaded in. There's not enough time to do all the complex logistics. So what they're doing, there's the London folks and other countries, they are using good old-fashioned Brinks security, which is basically a bunch of trucks with some hardcore guys with guns, and they're loading up bars of gold bullion, taking them to the commercial airports, sticking them on a commercial flight right into America, offload straight onto a Brinks truck for receiving, taking it straight over to New York and dumping it in the vaults. Okay? We already know that's happening. Hundreds and hundreds of millions, perhaps billions of dollars already moving. So we know that's happening. That's a fact. It's already happening. Now, it's just a question of logistics from New York to Fort Knox. Again, Brinks trucks, Brinks security trucks, probably with a bunch of F-16s flying overhead and helicopters and Apache attack copters and everything like that. And maybe some gold ends up over in Fort Knox, or maybe not. Maybe it doesn't have to go there. But here's my take on it. All because the whole world is always watching Donald Trump for any kind of whisper or hint of anything that might affect their country or their currency or their central bank or their tariffs. They watch 24/7 what Trump is doing. They're doing that now, including the gold. And so Trump is sitting there kind of going, okay, well, I dropped the hint a few days ago. Wink, wink. Where's the gold? And Elon is basically saying, we're going to go in and we're going to do a live video. And so that is scaring, I think it's scaring the other countries that are out of alignment with America and the gold. If there is an out of alignment. So, what I think is happening is that Donald Trump is very quietly sending a message like, you countries, if it's time for you to repatriate the gold back to America, then it's time to do so now. Take care of that. I haven't issued a date yet for the Fort Knox audit, but we're going to see about that. Just letting you know. So that's story number one about the gold stuff, okay? I think it's a very big deal, and I think it's going to happen. I think the audit is going to happen. Sarah Al-Sheikhi over there in Libya, Benghazi. Wow. Welcome, Sarah. So here's the other story. As you know, the deep state and the deep state Democrats, notice I'm talking in language that is not really inflammatory. Okay? Let's say there's a whole bunch of Democrats and a handful of rhinos. You know what those are, okay? And let's say they are all corrupt. And a bunch of them are also on the Epstein list, okay? Okay, bear with me, okay? Number two, we already know as of 2 days ago that the Epstein list is now officially on the desk of our new amazing Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And so everyone's been asking, hey Pam, have you seen the list yet? Have you opened it? Who's on the list? We want to know. Are you going to prosecute? Are they going to go to prison? Oh, what's going to happen, Pam? And Pam is like, yes, I have the list. It's on my desk. That's all for now. So the world knows this. Everybody who's on the Epstein list knows this. Everyone who's terrified they might have been around with the Epstein, but not in a very, very compromising way, they know all of this. All the Democrat pedophiles know this. And if there's any rhino or Republican pedophiles and sex traffickers and so on, they all know this. And so there's this thing burbling in the background, which I believe is connected to the eclipses. We've got the eclipses coming up in March, everybody. And I think some of them are, well, there's two, okay? There's a full moon and a new moon. The full moon is on March 14th. I think it's going to be pretty ugly if you're on the wrong side of healthy, true, honest, and so on. And so, as you also know, the election from January 20th has given the Trump MAGA Patriot common sense movement to restore the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence is well underway. It has been a spectacular month, unheard of in world history or American history ever. Trump is an absolute savage, as you know. Well, anyway, I've talked a lot about his astrology on my Rumble. Trump is an absolute savage, and he is a fighter. The more you try to take him down, the stronger he gets. His enemies don't seem to understand that. Anyway, back to the Epstein list. Donald Trump knows exactly what's going on out there, but he's only ready or willing and able to say a few things in the right place at the right time for the right reasons, because he has learned the hard way that being too blunt and too open from his Sagittarius South node is counterproductive. And so he has learned over the last 8 years to be much more in tune with his Gemini North node, which includes his Gemini Sun and Uranus in Gemini in his 11th house for we the people. So he has matured profoundly in the last 8 years, and we also know that the last 4 horrific years were divinely ordained so that we the people could actually see how bad things really, really are. Here we are from January 20th January 20th till February 23rd. It's much worse than anyone has imagined, or maybe it is as bad as you imagined. Either way, it is being revealed. You've got to reveal it to heal it, and that's what's happening. And on the eclipses, with the full moon eclipse, we're going to get the Sun, Moon, Saturn, and Neptune, and the North Node all piled up there in Pisces. That's a lot of energy, especially the Sun and Mercury shining like floodlights all over the sickest stuff in America right now, which is, fraud, waste, and abuse, corruption, the Epstein files, the Diddy files, all of that stuff, FEMA, USAID, all the trafficking, the fentanyl, all that stuff. Okay, we know all that. So here's my take. Bear with me. Trump effectively has, he's got the White House, okay? So he's got the executive branch, and it's very, very powerful. He's got Congress, the Senate, and the House. He's got the Department of Justice with Pam Bondi. He's got all the other top-level cabinets, and they're all on, everything is being remade. He is basically remaking the federal government to institutionalize MAGA. It's not just going to be around for a few months, a couple of years until the midterms. It's going to be institutionalized for generations to come. So how do you do that? Well, it's what the Democrats do. You just pack everything that you can, and then you do everything in a block. So my feeling is this. As you know, the Democrats are squirming. They're absolutely terrified because their whole business model is collapsing. Their business model is fraud, waste, and abuse. That's what they do. It's a business, and it's being exposed. So Trump knows that there's a whole pile of very, very, very dirty people in Congress. Most of them are on the Democrat side, but there's several rhinos, I'm sure. And some of those people in Congress, I don't know if you've seen the preliminary lists, but I have, thank you, Love Triber. A whole bunch of them are on the Epstein files. So this is all speculation at this point. But let's just project a little bit. Let's say these speculative lists of names are actually congruent with what's on the desk of Pam Bondi. And when Pam Bondi opens that list, everyone's going to say, we want to know, because the American people are demanding to know. This is going to be like a nuclear bomb, I believe, on the Democrat Party. And so, even though Donald Trump has the executive branch, he's got Congress, he's got the Department of Justice, he's got the Department of Defense, he's got all of it. He's got the Doge, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security. He's got this amazing MAGA team. You still need more. Where he needs more is in Congress itself. That's the House and the Senate. That's Mike Johnson and John Thune. Yes, they are in the majority, but the majorities are very, very slender. and they are constantly at risk of falling apart, especially in the midterms. If we lose just 1 or 2 seats, we're screwed. So, here's what I think is happening. I think Trump is aware of this, and he is deliberately just staying back, holding back, knowing that once this Epstein thing comes out, it's going to destroy the lives and the careers of enough rhino, Democrat, sickos, whoever they are. Some of them, a bunch of them are in Congress, and they're going to be outed. They're going to they're going to have to remove themselves, or they will be removed. Some of them may go to prison. Who knows? I'm not going to speculate on that. But I think Trump is sitting there just kind of going, yeah, okay, I'll just wait this one out. And then poof, those seats are going to get filled by the newly changing landscape in the United States. And those seats are going to get filled by people who are more closely aligned with the common sense, MAGA, Make America Awesome Again, Patriot movement. That'll secure a much more stable base in the House and Congress. And so Trump doesn't have to go to war. All he has to do is wait for the Epstein list to come out officially. It's never come out officially, but I'm hoping that it does. The whole world is waiting. Everybody across the world wants to see what's in it. So I think Trump is being strategically patient, even though he really wants to accelerate his agenda even more than he's doing right now. I think he's being strategically patient in order to allow nature to take its course. It's almost like he's just going to wait for the eclipse. Eclipses, they take things out. They eclipse things. They're going to eclipse people out of positions. People's lives are going to be eclipsed out of existence. Their livelihoods, their careers, their reputations are going to be completely destroyed. Whether it's a movie star, a pop star, a politician, a business person, a banker, whoever it is, if they're in, especially if they're in Congress, that's going to really, really work for Donald. Okay, this is the kind of stuff I just talk about on my Rumble, but my language is often a little bit more spicy. So I'm trying to be very, very, thoughtful and considerate in my language. I'm basically self-censoring, which I am very loath to do. But anyway, so I just wanted to share my 2 little tidbits for today. So Victor, I just wanted to share that about the gold. You've probably heard the crazy stories about the gold. Oh, what happens if it has to be, revalued at a genuine market rate? Oh, what happens? What happens? So some people have been doing fantasy speculations like, well, here we go. In order to make it absolutely perfect and to eradicate the debt system that we live on right now, we could do a couple of moves which would actually completely eliminate the Federal Reserve altogether. You wouldn't even need it anymore. You basically go, I don't know, to Fort Knox, figure out how much gold do we have, and then you look at the federal amount of M1, M2 money supply that's out there, including all the 36 trillion in debt. You take that one big fat number and you divide it by the number of ounces of gold, and then that gives you $1 price. And at that level, to create perfect equity, it's about $142,000 an ounce. So if you happen to own a little gold coin, a little, 1 ounce gold coin, which is now almost $3,000, and in a few days it turns into $142,000. Pretty nice. Of course, most people are saying, that's never going to happen. That's ridiculous. And so it's turning into a big kind of controversy right now with all the banks and the Bank of International Settlement. We all know that the Ripple XRP ledger which is basically a peer-to-peer digital crypto token, is now part of the cabal elite banking group. Accenture, all of that crowd. So I don't know what to think about Ripple, but it's centralized. In other words, it's controlled and it's controllable. So I wouldn't want to go there. Mark Moss still advocates for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is absolutely pure. It cannot be diluted. And it is already peer-to-peer, and everything is completely open. And there's no limit to the ceiling, the price ceiling per Bitcoin. It can go up to millions of dollars, and it would still just be doing what it does. So some people are even speculating that what's the point in having a gold standard? Because you can still mine the gold. You can still, theoretically dilute the value of the gold a little bit. It's very hard to do, of course, but so, gold is still the number one, tier one bedrock asset for the whole world. Of course, there's oil and gas, but the petroleum, but it's still gold. And this has happened before for thousands of years. So a lot of, the money people are saying we're heading towards another one of these cycles where it's all going to implode and explode. It's going to be a much bigger problem than 2008, 2009. What happened in 2000, 2008, 2009 is that everything collapsed because everything was fake debt, and the public figured it out. And so everything imploded, and the Federal Reserve Bank, along with Obama, figured out, well, we can fix this just by making the taxpayers pay off the mistakes for $780 billion. Looking back today, that $780 billion is like this compared to the problem we have today. It's the same problem. We're over-leveraged, over debt, with astronomical increases with the release of more currency. So the value of your dollar has gone down and down and down and down and down and down, while the value of the so-called stocks and assets appear to go up and up and up and up. A lot of it is just kind of like an optical illusion or a Ponzi scheme, depending on your views. But since it's a universal scheme and it's very hard to avoid it, you have to learn the game and how it works. I'm not an expert. Don't follow anything I say, okay? You watched Mark earlier? Excellent. Well done. Well done, Victor. So anyway. Yeah, the time difference over there in Benghazi. What is it over there? It must be morning by now, right? Let me go over to the charts for a minute. Let's see, Benghazi, where are we? Okay, I'm streaming over here in Las Vegas. It is Sunday night. It's about, 6 p.m.? And Sarah, you're way over here. So it's already Monday for you, isn't it? Right? Anyway. Hey, Gregory, good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, what was the other thing I thought about money? Anyway, let's just go over there a little bit. So here we are tonight. Things are pretty fuzzy. We got a couple of standout little items here. Okay, the moon is in Capricorn, and soon it's going to be opposing directly Mars. Okay, it's not quite there, but almost. Mars is still retrograde, so it's having a lot of problems with war. There's a lot of war across the world right now. Mars is very, very, very unhappy, and anything and everything that can go wrong in war is going wrong. Look what's happening in the negotiations with the Ukraine war. Look what's happening with the negotiations for ceasefire in the Jewish-Arab war. All of that. And it's still going to be ugly for a while, but in a few days, let me show you, we're actually almost there. Tomorrow, let's just say for sure, next Tuesday, Mars will be direct. So it's going to move slowly. but it's going to start moving this way again. Right now, Mars is stationary. It's just sitting here. But it's going to move forward, and eventually, Mars is going to end up in Leo, okay? And that's in the middle of April. Now, I'm just giving you a heads up, people, since you're seeing here, we don't hang out much together. It's over here, so there's going to be a lot of backfiring and horrible, horrible things happening across the world regarding the wars that are existing right now. A lot more belligerence and more bullets, more guns, more death. And I'm sorry to say that eventually Mars is going to get right over here into Leo in the middle of April, and by the end of April, Mars will be right here in a direct opposition with Pluto. So that is going to be a hot war of some kind. Things are going to go very, very hot. That's my personal opinion. Where and what or how. The alternative is that there could be a resolution of war. In other words, maybe the Jewish-Arab war comes to a stop. Maybe the Ukraine-Russia war comes to a stop. Who knows? On the other hand, the Leo-Aquarius axis is going to be very ugly for China. So we might have peace in the Russia-Ukraine. We might have peace in the Jewish-Arab wars, or at least temporary. But China may go berserk. I don't think China will be able to withstand the opposition here between Mars and Pluto going direct, because China has a Leo-Aquarius dynamic that is very toxic, and it's going to be lit up. Okay, so I'm just putting that out there, but that's, that's a couple months away. Anyway, back to tonight. Things are very, very mushy over here. There's a lot of pileup of energy in the Pisces crowd. We've got Sun, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node all piled up over here. So it's just one big splurge of 12th house global Pisces energy. So that's why I feel that we're seeing the worst of the worst of the worst of the sickness, the depravity, the fraud, the waste, the abuse, the lies, the betrayal, the deception of we the people, not just in America, but across the world. The whole of the world is waking up to how our so-called leaders and governors have screwed over the people, we the people, especially over the last 65 years, the last quarter of the Pluto cycle. That's from here to here. We talked about that the other day on Rumble. So it's pretty hazy. I decided there's no point in me trying to fill this chart with lots of green, because none of them are exact, but there are lots of overlaps. So we have a kind of a blur here. Sextile blur, and a trine blur, but they're out of sign. The angles are, sort of strong, but they're out of sign, like Aquarius, Taurus, and so on. So I'm not going to emphasize it too much. We do have a really pretty strong conflict over here with the Gemini Pisces vibes on the Sun, a bit of Mercury. And so that's putting, again, more pressure on the mainstream media, exposing all their lies and betrayal and propaganda. But the really ugly thing here is Mars opposite Moon. This is going to move very quickly, so don't stress too much. Big fat T-square over here with Venus, and I think it's illustrating how people all across the world are starting to really, really hurt and get extremely angry about things like their homes. In other words, in America, for example, the ridiculous situation with the real estate market, homes, property prices, property insurance, mortgages, all of that stuff. It's absolutely berserk unsustainable. Over there in China, the real estate market is completely imploding. All the Vanke, country, whatever they're called, Country Garden and All the big real estate boom in China is collapsing because the buildings are collapsing, and they're only like 5, 10, 15 years old. And the moon in Capricorn is kind of a little bit of like, oh, I had a horrible feeling this would happen, like an I told you so moment of reality check, and that's exactly what's happening. So it's pretty scary. It's a little bit scary. Anyway, let me just check something here. I got to do a technical thing, so bear with me. Oh, where am I? Okay, all right, we're good. Okay. Yeah. Yes. What do the planets say? Okay, well, Victor, I'm going to mention broad scale. Recently, Victor, because I haven't been on YouTube for a long time, but recently the moon just flew through Scorpio over here. We had to build up, and just as predicted, we had some horrific headlines regarding global finance. That would include the Fort Knox story and the cryptocurrency stories, possibilities with the gold standard or not. All the incredible gyrations in the currency markets because of all the tariffs that are looming out there. Every single country on earth is frantically trying to figure it out. Oh my God, am I in trouble? Is our country in trouble? Whether it's here. They're all trying to figure out what sort of damage are they going to endure as Trump realigns America to be aligned with itself for what works for America. And that's going to send shockwaves across the world. So that's happening right now. Some of the most obvious examples in the global financial thing were a couple of days ago were illustrated in Russia and China and Turkey, Iran, and North Korea, and other places, communist countries like Brazil, Venezuela, Cuba. Their currencies in the foreign exchange markets, they're just collapsing. It's not overnight implosion, but they are just struggling because they can't really sustain themselves the way they are. Because like it or not, Trump has made it very, very clear, if anybody tries to take out the American dollar, you're going to regret it. So he's basically sent a loud message across the world, especially to the BRICS so-called nations, Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa, and a lot more. It's like a fantasy club. India has already withdrawn. India has already made it very clear there's no way the BRICS will survive or issue its own currency and take down the dollar. It's not going to happen. So the BRICS is effectively withdrawing out of that. The whole China is imploding anyway. All their Belt Road Initiative programs are just collapsing, and every country, apart from the Cook Islands, is regretting having anything to do with China, Belt Road initiatives, and Silk Road initiatives, all of that stuff. So it's all backfiring really badly, and it's because Donald is sitting there going, I told you so. Anyway, so those are the financial gyrations, but Victor, please be aware, the whole of 2025 is going to be crazy, okay? It's going to be crazy because Uranus moves slowly. And it's going to reach the crisis point here later this year when it goes to 29.5 degrees Taurus, sitting there and crossing into Gemini. There's going to be global absolute mayhem. Global financial mayhem. What does that look like? I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be exactly. Collapse of China currency, collapse of China's CCP. Oh, something to do with the gold, something to do with the dollar, something to do with tariffs. Who knows? But it's going to be very, very, very shocking and very, very bumpy. There's a piece of road up here where I live. There's a piece of road over here. And you can't see it, but when you're driving up to it, there's a traffic stop on the other side of. It's just a routine It's just a routine piece of commuter ride. If I go drive out to get a cup of coffee at a certain McDonald's, it's almost impossible to get there without going over a certain piece of road. And part of that piece of road had some road works recently, but the road work repair is so bad, but you can't quite see it. And if you forget that it's there, it's horrific. When you drive over it, it's like bam, 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 and then you come out the other side. It destroys your suspension, your shock absorbers, your struts, all of it. But the city does nothing. So that kind of bam, bam, bam is going to happen when Uranus starts to cross over the cusp from Taurus into Gemini. So heads up. It's going to be extremely unstable. Now, of course, if you've got the mentality of a speculator, and you've got lots of disposable income, and you have an extremely high tendency to want to gamble in case you might win, then some people are going to make a lot of money on the extreme instability. If a market goes up, a stock goes up or goes down, or a currency goes up and down, and you have some kind of intuition or insider information, you could really make out here. But for most people, it's like just stay out of the water. If you're a surfer, it's just too dangerous. Just get out of the water. What does that look like? I don't know. Pull your money out of the banks, cash out everything, buy gold, buy Bitcoin. I don't know. I'm just saying that prepare for instability, extreme instability. Yeah. What was that? Let me just check the notes there. Don't forget, when the war broke out in Ukraine, we took their gold. Did we? I didn't know that. We shipped it to New York, and we agreed to help them. Oh, that sounds a little bit shaky. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I did not know that. So, tomorrow, things are going to go direct with Mars. So regarding the wars that I've been talking about, we're going to see forward movement. I'm trying to be optimistic, like I was just saying earlier when we were looking at the charts. We'll see. Hello, Necessary. Bubba is having a well-deserved nap. I've been staying very, very close to Bubba to make sure that he eats as well as possible, because as you know, he's extremely sensitive and gets anxious because of the other cat. But there have not been too many incidents, and so long as I keep a really tight eye on little Bubba and I cater to every little slight fluctuation with anxiety, I can sort of solve it with food or naps or cuddles, and then he has a much quicker recovery, and that's starting to work. So I'm hoping over the next 6 months to 9 months, a year or so, we have more harmony inside the house. We'll see. But anyway, yes, I can tell because I'm giving Bubba a little bits of variety, like with certain bits of kibble, certain very yummy, tasty treats to which he's addicted, and plus, regular sloppy, goopy, canned cat food. I mix it all up, and you can tell when we cuddle, I can tell from his fur and his coat that it's much richer, and his little tummy is starting to fill out a little bit. He's sort of like me in that I have absolutely no insulation. I don't have any body fat anywhere, so I'm really vulnerable to the cold and to the heat and any kind of shock. So I have to be very careful. And little Bubba is similar. He has to be pretty careful with the cold and the heat, and he doesn't have a lot of reserves on his body. So I'm trying to fill him out, pack him out a little bit, so he's got a little bit more weight, hopefully a little bit more fat. But at least his fur, his coat is becoming more rich, more healthy. So that's very good. Thank you. Hello, necessary. All right. All right. So it looks like nobody has done a reading. So I think what I could do maybe is I'll just do like a voluntary reading for all of us tonight, and we'll leave it at that. How's that? How's that, everybody? Would that work? Just one live, it's not for the world, it's for us, but really it's for the world. What kind of messages do we need to know tonight to get to, in order to be more aware and to have a happier, better life going forward as a result of having greater awareness? A lot of people, they don't want to know. Some people simply don't know, and they don't know that they don't know. I'm not in that crowd. You guys are not in that crowd. All of you here already know a lot about what's going on. Whether you like it or not, that's a whole other thing. That's your personal business. I am very happy with what I see going on here in America. But of course, I'm on the side. I'm one of these people. Okay, I'm just letting you know I'm one of these people. But there's a lot of people in America who are very, very unhappy and very frightened right now because their whole life is being upended. If you're a criminal, if you're illegal, if you're a rapist and a murderer, a thief, if you're a hacker, if you're on a certain Epstein list, if you're a hardcore Democrat, if you're a Trump hater, you're all very unhappy. And there's millions of them, okay? There's about 50 million of those people. And they're very, very, very pissed. They're very frightened. They have genuine, legitimate fear, anxiety, rage. It's understandable. Hello, necessary. What's up? Music helps too, TarotLumination. There is cat calming music? I didn't know that. Cat calming music? Never heard of it. So I can just... Okay, I will do that. Wow. Thank you for the tip. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. All right. I'm just going to do it. I don't care anymore. Okay, this is just for thrills, people. And then I'll let you go. You have a fun evening, and you can start your week with a little bit more awareness than we had, half an hour from now. Okay, I'm just going to tuck all this aside. I'm going to dive right in. I'm just going to do a little freebie for everybody, and we'll leave it at that, okay? There we go. Oh, by the way, if people don't know, Love Schreiber is very good with cards herself in her own way. It's a completely different system. But she shares certain stories with me every now and again, which are very comforting because it's nice to know that our lives are not totally random. There is divine ordinance, divine timing. There is meaning and purpose beyond, a lot of the time, what we can detect or understand. But look at it this way. Everything is exactly as it should be. Why is that so? How is that so? It's because it can't be any other way. Things are the way they are. Evil people do evil things. Good people do good things. People who hide and evade end up with the results of hiding and evading. Nature does what it does. Horrific things happen to animals. Horrific things are being done to animals across the world by evil people. That's how it is. It's very sad for the animals. A lot of certain people do very, very evil things to other people. That's how it is. Some people do very blessed work and offerings and gifts to other people. And that's just how it is. I learned something from my sister. She taught me a long time ago, but I often forget. Don't expect anything, and you won't be disappointed. I think that applies very much to the Pisces vibes that's happening right now. The Pisces thing can be, very, very vulnerable to deception, self-deception, illusions, delusions. And if you've got certain expectations, like future visions of how things should be or could be or should be, that aren't actually in alignment with reality, then you're going to be disappointed. It's a very sad, tragic thing, but I learned that the hard way. I do forget now and again. So I try to cheer myself up. All right, what kind of messages do we have here for the world? But specifically for us little gang here. Your birthday was yesterday. Oh, well, hey, Star Lover, 22. You might want to be aware that we've got a Pisces we've got a Pisces new moon coming up soon. And if you feel a little bit fragile and weepy and wimpy for a couple days before the new moon, please understand that would be normal. And then 2 weeks later, you're going to witness the full moon eclipse, and that's on the 14th. So you've got a few days to prepare. Eclipses, I see them and usually discuss them as evolutionary gateways, because things get eclipsed where you don't really have a choice. You have to evolve or you perish. Certain other things with eclipses, things that are irrelevant or that need to be removed, eliminated, are. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable. Sometimes eclipses are very frightening and they feel like it's out of our control. Certain things like with fate or nature that feel like they're out of our control. Oh my God, it's an eclipse. Oh my God, that means something bad is going to happen. No, not really. The only things that are bad that happen under eclipses are bad things that are exposed by the eclipse that need to be taken out. There you go. All right, here we go. Let's have a look. Let's see what's going on. Welcome, Star Lover. I've been doing this 8 years now, apparently. I hardly ever come to YouTube anymore because of previous experience that I can't tolerate anymore. But we're here. We're going to have a little mini reading tonight. What kind of messages do we have here tonight for our blessed little mini community? Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Let's have a look here. That's a very extreme cut. Maybe that's what we needed. Here's our situation. Here's the challenges, and here's how we're going to handle things going forward. Star Lover, if you're new to this, this is my situational spread. It's like if your car is in deep trouble and your check engine light is flashing, you take it over to Riley's Auto Place or whatever, and you say, please help me, can you check my engine light, please? And they come running out with a little black box. They plug it in onto your dashboard, and they take it back in onto the computer, and they tell you, oh, yeah, it's your catalytic converter. Oh, yeah, it's your mass air sensor. Oh. And then you know what the problem is. You got to reveal it to heal it. That's what this is all about. It's a diagnostic tool. This is my situational spread. What's the situation? Same thing. It's a diagnostics. Here we go. What are the external influences here? Okay, well, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So, I'm tempted to, say this is all about the money. It makes me feel like it's very, very crude, but I want to expand in a kind of a looser way. When I do my tarot readings, I give myself a lot of privilege to interpret how I feel. I do not do textbook readings. I do not use textbook spreads. All my spreads are custom built after doing thousands of readings. So anyway, with the 8 of Pentacles here, my feeling that this is a flashing awareness sign. Dear, dear, dear people. Dear, dear people. Please understand that unless you are a major trust fund baby, the money, the hard money that comes into your life is a result of goods and services that are exchanged between yourself and other people. If you're of an adult age when you're in the workplace and up to retirement and even beyond, it's an understanding that the real economy is not about the paper dollars or the stock market. A lot of that is fiction and very, very, let's say, vulnerable, okay? With the Eight of Pentacles here, my feeling is that please understand, have a look at your own second house in the astrology. Okay, I'm going to point that out here. Over here, this is your second house. In this universal chart is ruled by Taurus, which is all about the money. Venus rules that. Venus is one of the money planets. So the real economy with people is about the exchange of goods and services between one person or one entity and another in a way that's fair and equitable. That used to happen through the barter system. Hey, I'll take one chicken for all those hay bales. How about that? You know, at the farmer's market, so on and so on. Today, the goods and services would correlate to the second house here astrologically, where it's very, very important for you as an individual to realize the value of your natural born gifts and talents. What are you bringing to the world that has genuine value? Real, genuine value. And understand that that is extremely valuable. That's where, also, for example, please find a way to discover, like if you're out of alignment with your natural gifts and talents and resources, it's time to wake up and become in alignment with your natural gifts and talents and resources. Like if you're very good at, I don't know, knitting, can you make custom sweaters or something? If you're very good with math and you're very responsible, are you a good, like an accountant, or could you be a good bookkeeper? And so on. Understand that you provide, when you provide legitimate goods and services to the community, you are rewarded with legitimate goods and services in return. In between, there's currency that we call dollars, but I'm talking about the real value here. So understand that everything that you do, that whether you actually receive dollars for it or not, that's like a secondary issue. It's very important to recognize the value of your gifts, your value system, your talents, and anything you inherited from birth. Like maybe you're very good with engineering or healthcare or medicine. Invest in those things. That's what the Eight of Pentacles thing is. It's like focus on your talents and gifts and invest in your talents and your gifts, in your natural gifts and resources. So like when you're working, it hardly even feels like work. It feels like joy. And then even though it's a lot of work, you amass and you generate value, genuine value in the marketplace of goods and services when you receive recognition from others. Hi, Bubba. Bubba's thirsty. Uh-oh, I better take care of little Bubba. Hang in with me, people. I'm just setting the stage right now. Come on, Bubba. I'm right here. Don't worry. I've got you. I've got you, Bubba. Okay, Bubba is going to supervise the reading now. I'm just going to tuck this over here for you. So with the little Eight of Pentacles hovering out there, part of it makes me feel like you have worked very, very hard to build up your talents, your gifts, your resources, your assets, and do not stop. And focus on those. And rather than things like, for example, if all your talents and gifts and resources are compromised right now in the form of credit cards, car payments, homes, mortgages, insurance policies for homes, cars, all that kind of stuff, multiple credit cards, you've got to deal with that stuff. If necessary, file bankruptcy. Get out of it and refocus, rebalancing your life in a way that's true and genuinely aligned with your talents and gifts and resources, and work within your means. If you're very good with business, do that. If you know how to operate in the world of debt, where it's strategic debt, and you know how to play the system by using the system against the system, you can benefit. But that's not easy to do, okay? Just a heads up. So this isn't just about the money. This is like to protect your money, protect your privacy, protect your oh God, hold on. All right. Protect yourself. Protect your money, protect your privacy, protect yourself. That's work. It's an investment. You have to invest in yourself. Love thyself. Did you have enough water, Bubba? Okay, well, just go over there. You can park over there for a minute. So this is kind of a heads up because the money issues are going to be very, very important this year. If you're in an unstable or an untenable situation, figure it out. Find a way to stabilize and refocus into your true talents, gifts, and resources. Hi, Bubba. So just hang out with me there. It'll be just fine. All right. So what's the situation for us? Yeah. Okay. The sun. Ultimately, this is about joy and happiness and sacred opportunity right now. For us, the way I see that is because this is very much associated with Donald Trump. I know it sounds wacko, but the sun is very much like a Leo card in the astrology. And Donald Trump loves to be happy. He is who he is today because he's had probably thousands of lifetimes to mature to the point where he can handle astronomical amounts of power and money and control in a way that's beneficent, okay? As opposed to evil. As opposed to like the deep state evil cabal that's out there. So with the Sun card, the way I look at this is that whether you like Donald Trump or not is kind of irrelevant. But what counts is that he is shining his aura, the Leo aura. Remember, he has a Leo ascendant with Pluto and Mars in the first house, pretty much conjoined. So it makes him extremely hyper powerful, like almost as though he is a Leo himself. But that's his ascendant. When you look at him, he looks like a mega Leo. And his energy there is ultimately for our benefit. He really truly loves America and the American people. And he really wants to restore common sense, which is basically, you know, if he could probably wave a magic wand, get rid of the Federal Reserve, crash out and destroy the debt-based monetary system, and switch to something gold-backed and genuine. I don't know, but Donald Trump and his administration are very, very concerned about your financial welfare. They want you to be happy, and they're trying to make that happen. I wouldn't be surprised if he really truly does destroy the IRS and reformats it into the ERS, the External Revenue Service. And somehow or other they start balancing out the budget and eventually get over the really hard part. Remember, things are going to get very, very choppy and bumpy in 2025, and it's not the fault of Donald Trump. His job is to clean up. Donald Trump has inherited the biggest dumpster fire in world history, but he's not going to let that stop him. He knows that that's his job. He's taking that on with joy, okay? So be grateful. Whether you like Donald or not, be grateful that he's here and he's providing his astronomically powerful aura to we the people in America and ultimately to the rest of the world. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what this reading is telling me. So how are we going to deal with these? What are these challenges in the meantime? Okay, so with the Hermit here, my feeling is that for a lot of us, it's actually going to be a bit scary and frightening given what I've described here. Because even though the general impetus is something that I really cherish and I'm very happy to see, I know that for a lot of people in America, they're going to be terrified that they're being hung out to dry. Okay, and left on their own. Who's going to save me now? Who's going to help me now? If you're a heavy welfare fraud recipient, you're going to be really, really hung out to dry. If you're a federal worker, there's 2.3 million federal employees. Okay, the Doge campaign has only like scraped the surface. And so there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering, and a lot of those people who are, let's say, Trump haters, or they're hardcore Democrats, or their lifestyle, even if they're in the federal government and they don't mean any harm, but they happen to be aligned with, let's say, the Democrat Party, and it's all coming unglued, I feel that those people, somebody here tonight, or some viewer might feel that, oh my God, my life is destroyed. And it's true. Some people's lives and livelihoods are being completely, utterly destroyed right now. And there's nothing that can be done about it, because they are not in alignment with this. You don't even have to personify it in Trump. Let's just say this, like the symbolic energy of the sun and its beautiful energy that gives life to the planet. So it's going to be very, very hard for people who are out of alignment with what I just described. So you need to know that. People need to know that. It doesn't stop you. Yeah, the grift is over. Absolutely. And there's a lot more that's going to be exposed. And it's going to hurt a lot of people. How are we going to deal with all of this going forward? For us here tonight especially. Okay, so with the High Priestess, my feeling is that some of it we're not supposed to know. Like I've shared my opinions about what's going on behind the scenes, all right? I have my theories, opinions about what's happening with Fort Knox and the gold. I have my opinions and theories about what's happening with the Epstein list and how that's going to affect Americans, the American economy, and so on and so on. But I can't prove any of it because I don't personally have access to the security file that Donald Trump receives every day. That is his and his alone. We're not supposed to know. Donald Trump, by the way, he's a Gemini, okay? Let me pull out his chart for a minute, since I seem to be pivoting around Donald Trump so much. Okay, there's Donald Trump. This is his mini chart. I haven't put all the aspects in. I just put the planets and the Gemini North Node. But there's a lot of stuff going on. But if you look closely, he's got Mercury, Saturn, and Venus in the 12th house. It's very, very important for an American president to have a very strong 12th house, because it requires, part of his job is to maintain state secrets. There are certain things that we the people are not supposed to know, that we're not supposed to be exposed to, and that's part of his job, is to protect America. Like sometimes there's too much information and it's better that we don't know it. In other words, it's very, very important for Donald Trump to keep the secrets that he's keeping right now. He might already know what's happening with Fort Knox and Russia, Ukraine, and the Jews and the Arabs. He might have everything planned out, but you don't know till you really know. And in the meantime, he's like an athlete, a card player or something, where part of his job is to maintain state secrets. Very, very, very. This is the house of secrets, okay? The 12th house, okay? And so he's very deeply wedded to that, because it's very, very important for America to retain its state secrets. For example, its incredible intellectual property regarding technology, artificial intelligence, and all that. It's incredibly important to protect that. Cancerian is very, very protective. You do not want to be on the receiving end of an angry Cancerian person, because even though they might be soft and mushy on the outside, they can turn vicious if they feel that their home and their family and their loved ones and their rights and their properties have been, let's say, offended. So there are things that are going on right now that are mysterious and that we the people are not supposed to know. I'm only speculating and offering opinions, but the reality is we don't really know. So the way to go forward is understand, for everybody, we don't actually know the outcomes. We can, let's say, with the High Priestess energy, bless it and say that ultimately this is divine intervention for our own good. And it's the best thing to do is let the scenario play out over these eclipses, where nature will take care of the issues and bring us into this state of divinely ordained happiness. That is our birthright, okay? Allow it to unfold. We don't have to know the inner secrets, okay? What's that? Let me see these notes here. The Griffin. Invest in your own well-being. Spend your time paying attention to the benefits of happiness. There you go. That's a bumper sticker right there. Love Triber. Where do you want to spend your energy and time? Good question. Gregory, yeah. This is about, yeah, you were married to a lovely but turned vicious Cancer. Love Triber. Joy provides dividends. Oh, we're coming up with some goodies here tonight. So let me go over here for a second. So with that High Priestess, moving forward, it's just like just let things play out. The mystery will unfold accordingly. The best thing is to mind your own business. Go back to the Eight of Pentacles. Invest in yourself. Hard assets. What you actually own. Remember, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. That's one of the mantras regarding gold and gold coins. There's ETFs, there's stock markets, there's 401ks, IRAs, all of that stuff, and that's great when it's great. But those are just things on a computer and paper. Real assets would be your talents and your gifts and your value systems and your beliefs, your health, your brain, your intelligence, your labor, your work, your commitment to providing goods and services to the world and to the community that can be recognized, and so you can in turn receive reciprocal exchange. It's very, very important. Living off credit cards, for example, very, very dangerous. It might be fun for a while, but it's very dangerous, okay? I know, Sarah, I know what you're saying, but it's very hard for me to censor myself. I'm being very, very controlled with my language at the moment because I don't want this video to be shut down in the middle of a live stream. That's happened before. But anyway, so with the High Priestess, I think there's an... We're not supposed to know everything right now. It's a mystery. And the mystery will unfold in its own time. The big examples I'm thinking of is the Fort Knox gold, of course, and the Epstein list, of course. I'm putting my calendar moment as the 14th of March because that's the eclipse. It's a full moon eclipse. We got the new moon coming up on the 27th, and then March, what is it, 14th? Is it March 14th? Yeah. I think so, March 14th. I just got to check something. 13th or the 14th, somewhere around there, yeah. So that's what I'm banking on. And so with the Ten of Pentacles, it's really take care of yourself, mind your own business, take care of your health, take care of your wealth. Your wealth is in your health. Make sure you have clean water. Like if you're a prepper, for example, and if you want to anticipate some extremely unstable times financially going forward, your life may or may not be affected or not. But it's always helpful to have a little stash of water, a little stash of emergency food, little stashes of gasoline, things like that. You might want to look into research how you're going to protect and defend yourself physically. Are you going to use martial arts? I was watching some self-defense classes this morning regarding those things that you hold in your hand that go bang bang, and the things that shoot out very quickly at the other end. There was a trainee coach for self-defense for people who are in a situation and you are legally okay to carry one of those devices with you. What he was showing is that, in an encounter, assuming because a lot of very dangerous situations happen very, very quickly. But if you're in a situation where your life is in danger and you're aware of that, and you have enough time and space and energy to remove yourself from the situation, do that. If you can't 100% do that and you find that you're going to have to defend yourself and you have to pull out your little bang bang stick, it's very, very tempting. He's described it. It's a very emotional thing. Like when you punch people, a lot of people go for the head and the face, or the shoulder or something, because a lot of people are programmed, I don't want to kill you, I just want to stop you being bad to me. But sometimes you have to cross that threshold. And so what he's suggesting is the natural instinct is to go, or here. But what he's suggesting is, like, if you can move quickly, it'll throw them completely off. You aim for the lower abdomen, way, way low, kind of in the middle area where you have all your privates. In other words, the pelvis. He's suggesting he's got some very rude words that he uses, but it's basically the pelvis. If you deliberately aim for the pelvis, a lot of people have no protection in that area. If you're someone who's very powerful and maybe they have armored vests on and goggles and helmets and everything like that, sure, their vital organs are protected, but those protections often only go down to your waist or a little bit lower. So what he likes to do is go below the waist. And the reason why he mentions that is because if you look at the physiology of a person, pretty much everything that you do in your day-to-day physical waking life pivots around your pelvis, specifically your lower spine, and all the sciatic nerves that go in and out of there. So when you aim for that area, the pelvis, it basically takes out the enemy. They can't do anything. They collapse to the ground, and they might flail their arms, they might be flapped and move around, and they might still be fully aware up here, but their body is incapable of doing what they would normally do to commit the violence and the crime, okay? Yeah. Let me read the notes there. Strings. Oh, what's on? Let me catch up here. Welcome back, Strings and Things. Hello, Strings and Things. Oh, Gregory's having troubles with a med student, Gemini, who is extremely stressed and striking out at me. My moon is in Gemini, but dang, they throw it out of there. They throw it out there. Well, okay, Gregory, I can tell you. Let me go back to the chart. Let me give you a little bit of comfort, because you can blame the planets for so many things. So don't let it stress you out. Don't take it personally, Gregory. But you have to understand, there is Jupiter in Gemini right now, okay? Transiting for anybody, like with this Gemini person, they might be overly Gemini right now. Now just think about it. In the last 4 or 5 days, we had the moon cresting up here through Scorpio, financial issues, and then the moon in Sagittarius for the last 2.5 days or so. And that created eventually a fierce opposition here, where we had a massive, very, very stressful T-square. In fact, let me give you a timeline. Let's go back a few days. Okay, on the 20th, for example. Okay, building up to it, like the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, those days were hyper stressful for a lot of Geminis. Potentially hyper stressful for Sagittarians too. I mean, look at it. The Gemini energy, if it was stressed out about anything, the stress would be amplified and it would come out verbally, okay? Verbally. Huge stress points on the 20th and the 21st, okay? There you go. So, I hope that helps, Gregory. You're born on a new moon eclipse. Very interesting. String interesting. I hadn't heard of that, but I know I wasn't used to that either. Gregory Ross, aim below the belt. Hitting the face just makes people mad. Yeah. It really, really does. He was giving examples, and it's like, who would have thought? I never heard of that strategy before. I'm sorry you're having a horrible time, Gregory. Stranger things, you're Gemini rising. Okay, so if you've been very jittery lately, yeah, okay. Remember also, Geminis, you've got Jupiter there still transiting right through it, and it's very, very strong now. Yeah, so Gregory, yeah, you can blame it on the planets. Stand back, try not to take it personally, okay? That should help you, all right? So there we go. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we actually came here tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I'm going to wish you a blessed week. I would love to invite all of you to come and visit me on Rumble. So it's just TarotLumination on Rumble. And it's just the same as what we do here, but I focus on the global astrology. And I allow myself a little bit more freedom of communication, okay? Oh, thank you, Strings and Things. So spread it around. And just a heads up, I mean, Rumble is tiny platform compared to YouTube. I love the YouTube platform because it's so refined in its operations, okay? However, the algorithm hates me, so I haven't been paid in like years. Even though it's earning money, I haven't been paid and there's no way to get it. Don't ever do a super chat for me, all right? So if you want to visit on Rumble, it helps if you have a good device, okay? By the way, necessary, I'm doing more homework because a new button just arrived on my Rumble that says you can opt for what they call a low latency stream feed. I don't know what that is, but it sounds to me like it would have an improved transmission. So I'm going to research all of that, and hopefully that will make it better for the viewers. You're not the only one complaining, necessary, okay? It's true, strange things. I live in my nook and self-defense class. First thing I teach you, if someone comes behind you and grabs your arms or puts a gun to your head, you still have your legs. Okay, yeah, So interesting. Yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you, TL. Thanks to everyone. Happy birthday, 22. Thank you, Victor. I guess we'll see you soon. Necessary. You step on their toes to loosen their grip, turn around and start kicking below the belt. Yes. And then run, run, run. Oh God, there's so many people who got screwed by YouTube. I don't care anymore. I've just taken my losses and I'm just gone. I feel okay here tonight. I don't know if they'll delete this because of what I've talked about, but we'll see. Anyway. All right, let's leave it at that, folks. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got something out of this. Come and visit on Rumble. We do a little bit more of a deep dive with a little more, let's say, I call it out a little bit more directly. Good night, everybody. Thanks for still being here.